Note, this creepypasta is inspired by the cursed Jim Henson Productions logo and the cursed Walt Disney Pictures logo. If you were growing up in the 80s and were a fan of anything related to Disney Channel, chances are you may have seen a familiar logo on several Disney-themed VHS tapes and DVDs. The logo I'm talking about is Walt Disney Television Animation. For summary, this logo features the Disney castle in a blue background, as it forms the words Walt Disney Television Animation. But what I am here to talk about today is a version of this logo that has never been seen before and one that actually traumatizes me to this very day. It all started on a day in December of 2025. I had just gotten out of my local Regal Theater after seeing Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I thought it was pretty good in my opinion. I walked down to Goodwill to see if they had any good VHS tapes or DVDs. I spent a few minutes browsing up until I spotted a DVD I never used to have during my childhood. It was a DVD of Chibiverse titled The Complete Third Season, a disc I wanted to watch. I bought the disc for approximately 99 cents and then I called my mother for a ride home. When I got home, I took the disc over to my shed and inserted the disc into my TV with a built-in VCR. The opening previews were overall normal, but then everything started to go downhill right after the 2026 Muppet Show reboot trailer. The first change was the Disney's Fast Play bumper. The background was red instead of the usual blue, and the text was red instead of white, and in a gothic font. Also, there was music, but it didn't sound like the last few seconds of the credits to DuckTales. Instead, it was the sound of wind blowing and a very chilling low-pitch organ tune. It started to disturb me dearly, because I thought there was something very wrong with the disc I bought. It was like this for 7 seconds, and then the announcer came in, but he sounded like he was really scared, like there was something else awaiting on this disc.
This Disney DVD is enhanced with Disney's Fast Play.
The announcer screamed, as if Tom Kane had lost his crap. The screen faded to black and now here's where it got progressively more disturbing. The Walt Disney Television Animation logo came in, but the castle was red instead of blue, and the music was way louder than the original, almost as if my TV speakers were at full volume. Also, the music was also in an organ tune instead of the usual orchestra. And then the head of Maggie Pesky from the Buzz on Maggie came in, but man, she looked terrifying. First of all, her hair was black, her skin was dark crimson red, her eyes were black instead of white, and her pupils were red instead of black. And lastly, she had blood leaking out of her eyes and mouth. Somehow, the music stopped and it just happened to stay on the shot of Maggie for an extremely uncomfortable period of time. Just then, the sound of wind played. And somehow, Maggie's mouth began moving, making me more scared than I already was. Maggie proceeded to speak in a demonic voice.
Why are you watching this DVD? Now, I'm going to give you something that'll make you regret ever buying this DVD.
The head of Maggie then disappeared, and then what happened next actually makes me regret it buying this DVD. It cut to a shot of a parking lot at night, which never happened in the original Walt Disney Television Animation logo. It was like this for 5 seconds, before the camera started to turn around to another part of the parking spaces. All of a sudden, Wonder from Wonder Over Yonder started running up to the screen, but he was completely messed up. His skin was dark gray instead of the usual orange, and his eyes were black with white pupils, similar to the ones from Five Nights at Freddy's and the Banana Splits movie. While he was running, I started hearing the sound of a woman's loud screaming coming in. This caused me to scream like a little girl, because I tend to have a reaction for when something is running up towards me. Wonder's jump scare was apparently seizure-inducing, which caused me to close my eyes, because the lights were flashing and I didn't want to risk getting a seizure. As I was seeing this DVD disc, it felt like I had slept through the movie I was seeing in the theater and I was having a nightmare while I was at it. After that horrific jump scare, I opened my eyes and the Chibiverse Season 3 intro was somehow playing completely normal. But I couldn't take it anymore. I rewound the disc a bit so I could record this with my cell phone so I can show it on YouTube. Once I finished recording, I took the disc out, grabbed my uncle's hammer and smashed the DVD to bits. After that, I took the pieces of the remains of the disc and threw it in the garbage. Later that night, I was too traumatized to sleep, because I was worried that I would have a nightmare about that cursed logo. I unfortunately fell asleep and had a nightmare. However, this nightmare was a lot different. This dream involved me in the exact same Goodwill, where I bought that Chibiverse DVD. When I picked up the disc, a Goodwill employee appeared in front of me and said,
Sir, I would not buy that DVD if I were you. It's got a scary logo.
I ignored his warning and proceeded to buy the DVD. But when I walked out, I saw that exact same wonder creature from the disc running towards me. In a panic, I woke up. But then, I decided to go back to sleep thinking that I would have a different dream. I did have another dream that was different, as I mentioned, but I can't remember what happened. When I woke up the next morning, the first thing I did on my phone was write an email to the Walt Disney Television Animation Company, because I feel like they were the only ones who would be able to solve this case of the cursed Walt Disney Television Animation logo. I also attached the MP4 file for evidence. While I was in church, my phone buzzed and I just so happened to receive a reply from Alex Hirsch. He said that a man who was working for Walt Disney Television Animation at the time made that alternate version of the logo, as he wanted to use it for a Halloween special in the future. However, he was fired from the company after what he had made, likely because they found it too horrifying. But somehow, the logo he made got onto a copy of Chibiverse without the company knowing. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this story. I'll always like Walt Disney Television Animation for as long as I will. It's best to stay away from unusual videotapes or DVDs, or just report them.